What I wanted to do today in this video was to show you how to auto wire with annotations. Alright, so these are the annotations that we're going to be using when we're going to be auto wiring with annotations. We're going to first of all use this auto wired annotation, which is basically an annotation that means that a bean or value will be injected. If this @AutoWire is associated with a variable, then that means that that variable is going to be injected somewhere within that class, whether it be constructor or a setter method or whatever. But if it is if this AutoWire annotation is associated with a setter method, then that means that that setter method is expecting a bean to be passed into that setter method. The next annotation that we're going to be using is the configuration annotation. Now this configuration annotation is usually at the top of the class, and it basically means that the class is going to contain one or more bean methods. So if you annotate a class with configuration, then there are going to be some methods in which beans can be injected to. Now the last annotation that we're going to be using is called @component. So this @component is basically an annotation that's going to be used to mark a class as a spring bean. Alright, so let's get right into the code. An empty project. I'm just gonna go in, create a spring project. We're gonna start off going to new project, typing in Maven, new Maven project. Next. We then want to give a name to this project, which is going to be Spring Annotate, and then Study Annotate. Go to finished. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do, just like in one of my previous videos, go to the pom.xml file. Alright, go down here to the pom.xml tab down here. Now, these are the dependencies that we need. I've already copied them. Alright, so these are the three dependencies: the Spring Core, Spring Beans, as well as Spring Context. Alright, so after that, we want to add our beans.xml file. Right click the project, new, other, config, and then the Spring Bean configuration file. Just want to name this file beans.xml. Go to next. And another thing, in order to use the annotations, we need to include this context. So we just want to select this and then go to next, go to finished. Alright, so before we even start touching this file here, we want to go up to this source main Java and add some classes. So we're going to be adding two classes, the TV class as well as the remote class, and we're going to be doing that right now. File, new, class, TV. I want to add one more class, right click, new, class, remote. Finished. Alright, so the first thing we want to do is go to our TV class here, and first of all we're going to set up a constructor which is going to go public TV. Alright. So after this, we just want to do a simple sys out TV received a signal. Alright, so whenever a new object of TV is created, then that means a signal has been sent to the TV. And then down here, we just want to add two methods: public void check power, or no, turn on. Let's do that. All right. and we want another sys out TV turned on, and then we want another method, public void change channel. Alright, just a sys out, and then here we're going to go channel has been changed. Channel has been changed. Alright, so this is all that we're going to be putting in our TV class for right now. As you can see, we have our constructor so that whenever a new object of TV is created, we're going to print this out. TV received the signal, and then we're going to have just two methods here, turn on and change channel. Alright, so next we're going to go to our remote.java class. In this remote.java class, the first thing we want to add is an object reference of TV. TV. Right? Alright. So after we do that, what we want to do is actually create ourselves a getter and setter. Alright. Put public here, but yeah, we just need to add a getter and setter for this for this TV right here. So we're gonna go here, source, generate getters and setters, select all, okay. Alright, and the reason we're adding this is because we're going to be using dependency injection, and as I was saying before, when you're injecting dependencies, they can be injected through the setter method or a constructor. In this case, we're going to be using a setter method, and we want to add one more method down here called public void perform action. Alright, so in this perform action, we're just going to go TV dot turn on, and then TV dot change channel. Alright, so this is pretty much all we need. We have to just to go over everything once again. We have a data member called TV. We then have the getter and setter method for this TV data member that we have up here, and then after that dependency is injected, we'll be able to call these methods in this perform action. Alright, now let's save everything, and then after this what we want to do is go to our beans.xml. Now, as I said before, we're going to be using some XML configuration first, and after everything is configured in XML, then I'm going to show you how to use the annotations. Alright, so the first thing we need to add is a bean, and this bean is going to be ID, and we're going to add another one, class, and this is going to be set equal to remote, and then a class of remote, which will be the fully qualified name of this remote class right here. So I just copy, and I go back to the beans.xml and just paste, and then I just add remote. Alright, so after I add this bean, what I want to do is create an inner bean. Now, for those of you who don't know what an inner bean is, so let's go back to this remote class. So what I need to do is inject a TV bean into here, okay, from this XML configuration file. So in order to do that, I would have to set a property in this remote bean that I have right here, and then after I do that, I would then add the TV bean right into there. So I'm going to show you how to do that right now. Alright, so we're going to go property, alright, and then from this property we're going to have name, and then set this equal to TV. Alright, so after we do that, alright, so format this. Alright, so after we do that, we want to create another bean, and this bean is going to be the TV, and then class and this class will be equal to the fully qualified name of the TV. Copy, go down here in the class fully qualified name of TV. Alright, so this is what we call an inner bean. So basically we're defining a bean within the scope of another bean. So we have our remote bean right here, and then now we're injecting a bean, this TV bean, inside of this remote. So we're injecting the TV inside of this. So due to the fact that we can't go TV equals new TV, I mean we can, but we won't be incorporating dependency injection. So we're just going to inject that dependency to this setter method. And that's all there is to this beans.xml file. Now, the last thing that we want to do is go to our app.java. You see here, it always comes pre-populated with a hello world, but we're going to be removing that, and we're going to go application context context equals new file system XML application context, and then just passing in the name of the beans .xml, and then from there I'm going to create a new instance of remote. R equals cast this as remote and context dot get bean, and then remote. Then from here I can just go r.perform action, save, and from here we should be getting our results. So I'm going to run this Java application. Alright, so we get exactly what we're expecting down here. The TV received the signal, TV turned on, and the channel has been changed. So if we go back to our remote, this is what we're getting, the perform action. So when we go into our perform action, what's happening is that we go into this TV, and since we have a constructor that's going to say TV received the signal, that's going to be printed out first, and then we're calling this method turn on, then another method change channel, which is going to print out channel has been changed. Alright, so this is how you create an application using XML configuration. Now I'm going to show you how to incorporate annotations. Alright, so the first thing that we need to do would be to go back to our component. Go back to TV, where we're going to add the annotation component. All right. So add component. All right. Now, as I said down here in my PowerPoint presentation, the component is going to mark the class as a spring bean. That's pretty much what it does. And actually, before we even get to adding these annotations, we need to go back to our beans.xml. All right. So what we want to do now is just to remove this XML configuration. All right. So when we're removing this XML configuration, this is what we're going to be doing. We're just going to comment this out for a minute. So let's just comment this out. Alright, and now I'm going to add some XML, which is going to go something like this. Context annotation dash config. Alright. Alright, now this element, this element right here is basically going to be used to allow us to use annotations when we're working with Spring. All right, so we'll be able to go in and add our annotations, and we also want to add one more, which is going to go something like this: context component scan base package, and after this base package, just want to close that off, and we want to add the fully qualified name of the package that we're in. So we're going to go com.study.annotate.spring annotate. Okay. Alright, so this is pretty much what we need in order to incorporate annotation-based configuration within our application. So if you've noticed, we have removed the XML configuration, so we're no longer gonna be using this. And what we need to do is go to our TV, and just like I added before, the component annotation up here is basically used to mark a class as a bean. So this TV is the bean that's going to be injected within this class right here, this remote class. Alright, so after this, I want to go to my remote.java class, and in my remote.java class, I want to add this annotation at the top that is called configuration. Alright, now this configuration annotation is basically an annotation where the class contains one or more bean methods. So it's used to give a signal, or a message to the context that this class is going to contain one or more bean methods. So it is going to be expecting an injection of a bean, which is that TV object that we were talking about before. Alright, so it's going to be expecting this TV. Yeah. Okay, so this class is this configuration. That means that somewhere in this class is going to be expecting a bean to be injected. And as I said, this is to label or mark a class as a bean. So it's expecting that right here, this configuration. Now, after that, we want to use the autowire keyword. Autowire. Now, this autowire keyword basically, well, this actually doesn't go here. This actually goes on top of the setter method. Alright, now this autowire means that this bean value, that there's going to be a bean value that will be injected. And let's go back. Alright, so this means that this bean value, there's going to be a bean value that will be injected. That's when you associate it with the setter method down here. You can also annotate this data member up here with autowire, and it does the exact same thing. So it's basically going to inject the dependency into wherever it matches up within this setter method. So you can put autowired here, or you can put autowired right on top of this setter method in order for that dependency to be injected. And that's pretty much how you would use annotations in order to autowire or inject dependencies. Alright, so another thing that we need to do is actually replace this with remote.class. Yeah, we have to replace this with remote.class. And the reason why we're doing this is because in our beans.xml, we have since then removed the beans. So we won't be able to reference this bean by this ID anymore. So we have to explicitly reference it through the class itself, remote.class. Alright, so we want to save this, and then we want to run this application. Hopefully give us the same results, which it does. It gives us, as you can see here, the exact same results. TV signal received, TV turned on, and channel has been changed. Alright, so this is pretty much how you would use annotations with auto wiring. Alright, hopefully this video made sense to you guys. just wanted to go over this. So if I can just go over this one more time, this beans.xml file, this element right here allows us to use annotations, and then this XML down here is actually going to scan the package for beans. So I mean, to make this a little bit, you know, more clear, I'm just gonna add a comment right here. All right, so basically what it's doing, it's scans the class path for annotated components that will be auto registered as string beans, auto registered as string beans. All right, so that's pretty much what this does here. All right, so let's save this. So this right here, when you're adding this, you got the component dash scan. This is the base package that it's going to scan. You know, and is basically going to scan for the beans. And obviously, this component right here saying, okay, this class, it's a bean. So if you realize that that's a bean, then you'll be able to inject whatever dependency you need to inject. It'll do whatever type of configuration it needs to do. So as I said before, we're not using any more XML configuration, and we're just using annotations. All right. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video if you've learned something here. Also, don't forget to subscribe, and see you in the next one.